Ever have a moment where a single image, or maybe just a random thought you pick up, it suddenly unlocks a completely fresh perspective?
Oh, absolutely, like a little light bulb moment.
Exactly. And that's kind of the experience we're aiming for in this deep dive, specifically for you listening. We've gathered this really fascinating mix of quotes and observations from the artist Bob Camblin.
Right, and we're pairing those with an analysis of his lithograph Altarpiece of Saint Bambola. It's quite a piece.
It really is. So Camblin's work, his thoughts, they span decades, right? We've got these glimpses from the 60s, the 70s.
Yeah, quotes from 66, 68, 69, 70, 74s. It shows real evolution. And then the lithograph sort of grounds it all visually.
And what's great is how diverse his interests were. I think, if you appreciate different viewpoints, this is really going to resonate.
Definitely. He wasn't just focused on one thing.
Right. So our goal here, it isn't to just overwhelm you with, like, every single detail.
No, it's more about finding those core themes, those surprising links between his words and this artwork.
Yeah, chasing those aha moments, exploring this stuff together. Okay, so let's dive in. We'll start with Camblin's ideas around, well, impermanence and just the act of really looking, of observation.
Okay.
He wrote, "Fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years perhaps."
Huh, right. There's that immediate contrast, isn't there? That certainty undercut by, well, reality.
Totally. It's this mix of wanting permanence, but knowing deep down how fleeting things are.
It's such a human thing, that tension. We want things to last, but we know they won't, not really. Makes you think about what we call permanent.
And how fragile that idea actually is. Which ties into his observation about the cottonwood trees. He says, 3 cottonwood trees, dense cluster of new branches, now with them gone. Look.
It's so stark, so brief.
Yeah, and the absence becomes the main thing. It's like, pay attention. Notice what's not there anymore.
That break, now with them gone, and then just look. It forces you to confront the change, the emptiness almost.
It really underlines how important it is to be present, to witness those shifts.
Even the shifts into absence.
Yeah. And it makes you think about memory, too, how even that fades.
Yeah.
Which connects to this next quote. As they approached, the memory of songs and music stopped at the moment the texture of its decay became visible to them. Sad how we all aged at that moment in time. Saltaire Summer, 1967.
Wow. There's a lot packed in there, and nostalgia, definitely.
But also this almost physical sense of time passing, right? Like aging makes the memory itself start to fray, to decay visibly.
That phrase, the texture of its decay, it's fascinating. Like, you can almost touch the fading memory. It's not just gone, it's visibly deteriorating.
It suggests memories aren't fixed, are they? They degrade. And noticing that is kind of poignant, acknowledging our own time passing.
Yeah, the ephemeral nature of it all.
Okay, now this is where, for me, it gets really mind-bending. Camblin starts talking about the fundamental nature of understanding.
Okay.
He says, look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
Ah, okay. So finding parallel truths in places you wouldn't expect. Science and magic.
Exactly. It's like, don't dismiss either one. He's saying there are different ways of knowing, and maybe philosophy and art are the bridges,
That's a really inclusive way of looking at knowledge, isn't it? Not putting science and, say, intuition or magic into totally separate boxes.
Right, it challenges that separation. Suggests there's a deeper human need for meaning that both routes can tap into.
And art and philosophy help us frame that search, regardless of the path.
And he develops this with his idea of the perfectly average view. He says, I will stick with common sense and try for the perfectly average view of the universe.
Perfectly average. That sounds maybe a bit underwhelming at first.
Well, wait, he goes on. I think that will let me enjoy miracles on both sides of science and magic, and the nuances of the smear between the whiteness and the blackness.
Ah, okay, so it's not about being mediocre. It's about finding a viewpoint that lets you appreciate everything.
Exactly, the whole spectrum. He wants to see the intensely bright gray where science and magic might meet. It's about balance, appreciating complexity, not getting stuck in extremes.
That smear between the whiteness and the blackness. That's a great image for life's ambiguities, isn't it?
It really is. And that hope for a bright gray.
Yeah.
It suggests a future where these opposing ideas might actually merge and create something new.
A richer understanding, less conflict, maybe.
Yeah. But then, kind of shifting gears, he drops this in. The sixth sense is to be without a doubt, senza dubio, no doubt.
So after talking about nuance and gray areas, he brings in absolute certainty.
Right. It feels almost contradictory, but maybe he means there's a place for unwavering conviction, too. like a gut feeling, an intuition that's just known.
Senza dubio, no
Yeah.
doubt. It suggests a different kind of knowing, perhaps, beyond the rational balancing act, power of sheer belief.
Interesting tension there. Okay, moving on a bit, we see him reflecting more on the human condition, our connection to nature.
Okay.
There's this really poignant bit. Bright day, and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth, and yet.
Ooh, yeah, that feeling of wanting to transcend but being tethered.
Totally. That disconnect between our inner spirit, maybe, and our physical limitations, it's a classic theme, right?
Absolutely. That yearning for something more, contrasted with the reality of being grounded.
And then this, from 1974, I cannot tell a lie to myself for very long, followed by, find something in nature that completes you, and then surrender.
Self-honesty first, even if it's hard to maintain.
Yeah, like it's a necessity. And then seeking wholeness not within, maybe, but in the natural world.
And surrendering to it, letting go into something bigger, that implies a really deep connection, a trust in nature.
He also offers this kind of triad, because the light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe.
Okay, like a mini philosophy. Guidance, purpose, a method.
Yeah. The light, that could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Inspiration, knowledge.
Inner guidance, maybe. And the end is evolution, but framed as just doing your best. Very grounded.
Right. Not some huge cosmic thing, but daily effort. And the means is amplifying that effort with belief. It ties back to that senza dubio idea, maybe. Believing in what you're doing.
It provides a personal framework for growth, doesn't it? Light, effort, belief. Quite simple, but powerful.
Okay, now let's look at balance again, but also persistence and even love in a surprising way.
Oh.
He writes this really layered quote. In the balance, patience and yet, freedom again and yet, in silence, the reality can be maintained. In the reality, the pain that I move away from, true love moves to indifference to protect itself.
Wow. Okay, lots happening there. Patience versus freedom, silence maintaining reality.
Right, these tensions. And then that last part, true love moving to indifference, that's unexpected.
It really is. Indifference as self-protection from love's pain. That's a very complex, maybe even slightly cynical view of how deep emotions might evolve to survive.
It challenges the usual romantic notions, doesn't it? Suggests a different kind of emotional trajectory.
A very nuanced take on the balancing act life requires, and how even powerful things like love might shift to maintain equilibrium.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, let's look at Camblin on art itself.
Right, his perspective as an artist.
He says, sublime in the ridiculous. Look for the forgotten, but become what you are, less only is.
Finding profundity in unexpected places, the ridiculous, the forgotten.
Yeah, don't dismiss things just because they seem silly or overlooked, and then become what you are, less only is. That sounds like stripping things down. Simplicity.
Exactly. Getting to the essence, like carving away everything unnecessary to reveal the core truth. Less is more, but maybe even more fundamental. Less is.
It makes you wonder how much beauty we miss by focusing only on the obviously grand or important.
Or how much clutter we could remove to see things more clearly.
And he also reflects on art's purpose changing. He writes, art is not just images. Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
So a shift from art being self-contained, purely aesthetic,
to something more integrated with life, serving personal needs, maybe even survival.
It suggests art's role has broadened, become more necessary, perhaps, in a different way. Less detached.
More vital. Okay, this next section is all about stepping outside conventional thinking.
The train of thought stuff.
Yes. He says, step off the train of thought, to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing, balancing and being for and against. There's more, but just that start.
It's very Zen-like, isn't it? Disengaged from the usual mental track.
Find power in non-action, work in effortlessness. It's about accessing a different mode of being, maybe.
That power, that is no power. It sounds like Taoist ideas, like wu-wei, effortless action.
And then he continues. We missed the clouds, and for a moment regretted it. Then as lightning, the mind ripped out in flashes of variations to reach the still pond.
So a moment of distraction, regretting missing something beautiful, and then bam, sudden insight.
Right, like letting go of the regret, or maybe just that shift in focus, allows the mind to have this breakthrough, reaching clarity, the still pond.
It suggests insight doesn't always come from intense focus, but maybe from moments of quiet or even distraction.
And then he gives this very direct advice. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
Pure focus on one or the other. No divided attention.
Be fully present in contemplation or fully present in action. Avoid mixing them, maybe.
It suggests each requires a different state of mind, and trying to do both at once leads to, well, probably not doing either very well.
There's also this little story. We talked of changing the world. He listened, then took 21 cents from his coin purse to pay for his coffee and left.
Huh. Right. The grand ideas versus the immediate, practical reality.
It's such a grounding moment, isn't it? A quiet commentary on the gap between talk and action.
Or maybe just the simple necessities of life going on regardless of grand plans.
Camblin also has this incredible eye for sensory detail. Listen to this. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves, sun-heated air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First, white, then yellow-green, and in deep shadows, blue.
Wow, that's incredibly vivid. You can almost feel the sun, see the light changing.
It's like he's completely immersed, connected to everything around him. That electrons on my skin detail. Amazing.
It really shows that deep sensitivity to the natural world, translating perception into language.
And then there's this sort of mini narrative he calls On the Tower. We set Facing the Clouds Act 1, The White Mountains Act 2, The Cold Wind Act 3, The Lightning we leave before the show is over.
And like a little play unfolding, very structured.
But then they leave early. Why? It leaves you hanging.
Maybe it mirrors how experiences are often incomplete. We don't always see the finale. Or maybe the lightning was enough of a climax.
True. And he has these really concise, almost haiku-like lines, too. Like, the rain-soaked willows brought me to my senses.
Nature snapping you back to the present, grounding.
And this one. He walked by so slow that my writing slowed. My heart, and also the wind.
That's beautiful, that sense of interconnectedness, how one slow movement seems to ripple outwards and affect everything.
It's subtle, but really powerful. He also touches on things that seem almost beyond words.
Okay.
Like, there is one joy that exceeds all other, and that's all I'll say.
Hinting at something profound, but keeping it private. Ineffable.
Yeah. And not a leaf moves, and yet we all feel the cool breeze.
Shared, unseen experience. Something felt collectively beyond the obvious visual cues.
And then, maybe more practically, he says, much better than arguing is to look at my watercolor palette.
Ah, yes. Turning to the tangible, the creative act, instead of getting bogged down in debate. Many artists probably relate to that.
Definitely. Okay, let's get into his thoughts on perception and reality. These are quite playful sometimes.
All right.
He says, white is light, black is absence of light, but people are seen.
Interesting distinction. The physics of light versus the act of perceiving a person. What does it mean to be seen?
Exactly. It's not just about photons hitting retinas, is it? There's more to it.
Recognition, understanding, something deeper.
And then this. Well, that's enough about me, Mother Nature. Let's talk about you. What did you think of my last picture?
Ah! I love that. Talking directly to nature, asking for critique.
It shows this really intimate, almost conversational relationship with the natural world as his inspiration, maybe even his audience.
Whimsical, but also suggests a deep respect, wanting nature's opinion.
He also captures mental chaos beautifully. 5 thoughts crashed at South Boulevard in Mandel. 1. A girl in a white dress. 2. Jomo board. 3. Mother Nature. 4. Painting a classroom in the ghetto. 5. Haiku. No one was injured.
Just a snapshot of the mind's traffic jam, right? Completely unrelated things colliding.
Totally. That feeling of random thoughts just piling up. The asterisk, no one was injured, is a nice touch.
Like acknowledging the internal chaos, but reassuring us it's contained.
And he has this funny take on arguments. When you end an argument with a pessimist, you say, you're absolutely right. With an optimist, you say, it's a banana.
Haha. That's brilliant, just accepting the pessimist's view and throwing complete non sequitur nonsense at the optimist.
Seems like it. A humorous way of dealing with entrenched perspectives you probably can't change anyway.
Acknowledging the futility, maybe.
Then he poses these really thought-provoking questions like, as people move away from us, do they diminish in our eyes, or mind, or relativity?
How does distance, physical, emotional, change our perception of others? Does their significance shrink?
It's a deep question about subjectivity. And he observes, almost wryly, my attempts to stop arguing created an argument.
Well, the irony, how often does that happen? Trying to de-escalate just ramps things up. The paradox of human interaction.
And finally, on communication, he says, if you argue, or if you agree, you may learn, but you do not communicate.
Wow, okay, so learning can happen in conflict or agreement, but real communication is something else entirely.
That's how it seems. Maybe it requires more than just intellectual exchange. Empathy, true listening.
A deeper level of connection beyond just swapping viewpoints, that's profound.
Okay, let's shift to themes of searching, faith, and understanding. He uses this metaphor.
Yeah.
The gate stays open, the fence is broken. He keeps searching, but does not know the size of his quarry. Yet he has faith. He looks in all directions. If he could only see all around all at once.
So the path is open, maybe even barriers are down, but the goal isn't clear.
Exactly. It's this ongoing search fueled by faith, not by a defined objective. And this yearning for total perspective to see everything at once.
That really captures the feeling of seeking knowledge or meaning, doesn't it? You feel compelled to look, but you don't always know exactly what you're looking for.
And you certainly can't see the whole picture instantly.
No. Faith keeps you going.
He also distinguishes between kinds of change. Revolution leads to changes. Evolution is change. The first will be man's misunderstanding. The second is understanding. The balance will be found in our minds. Individually now, perhaps collectively later.
So revolution is disruptive, maybe superficial changes, but evolution is deeper, true change leading to understanding.
Right. And that understanding, that balance, starts within individuals, maybe spreading outwards later.
It prioritizes that internal shift, that gradual growth over forceful upheaval.
And then there's that classic bit of wisdom he includes. You never miss the water until the wells run dry.
Simple, timeless truth. We take things for granted.
A good reminder to appreciate what we have, the fundamental thing.
Definitely. What's the water in our lives we're overlooking?
Camblin also uses these very concise poetic forms. There's a haiku. 6 starlings sitting among broken branches. Look, no buds are growing.
A bit bleak, maybe. Stagnation after damage.
It paints a stark picture. And this line, every day the clouds circle our tower as if we again were the intruders.
That creates such a feeling of being watched. Or maybe just being small, temporary guests in a much larger natural world.
Questioning our place, our belonging. There's also an entry from his sketchbook. There, beneath those rocks, poor Smish, trapped by the changing tides. So much like us.
Oof, yeah. That direct comparison, feeling trapped by circumstances beyond our control.
It highlights that shared vulnerability, doesn't it? Fish, humans, subject to the tides of life.
A powerful little metaphor.
He has a lighter moment, too. It wouldn't be too bad to come back as a fly if you knew your body would shine in the sun that way.
Huh. Finding beauty, even in a fly, imagining its perspective. Playful curiosity.
And this description. Darning needles sew shimmerline tapestries of blue, green, and white bands.
Dragonflies as darning needles, weaving tapestries of light. That's gorgeous.
It elevates the ordinary dragonfly into this magical artist figure.
Absolutely stunning imagery.
Then there's bleached, textured, and white, to taste and sight. Pray ever avoid the lamp fate.
Bleached, white. Sounds fragile.
And the lamp fate sounds like a moth.
Yeah, that fatal attraction. A warning, maybe, about seductive things that lead to destruction.
Could be. Avoid self-destructive paths, perhaps.
And this question about art, canvas rectangle, summer light calligraphy, mystic and complete.
Can a painting, just those elements, canvas, light, marks, achieve something profound, something whole? It's pondering the potential of art to reach a state of, like, mystical fulfillment.
The artist questioning his own medium's ultimate power.
Then we get into some really surreal territory. Eater of Christians, chimera, Byzantium, warm, cold children's chair.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite a combination. Very dreamlike, almost stream of consciousness, juxtaposing wildly different things.
And San Gimignano, calamari to oblivion, strange ways of magic.
A real place mixed with calamari to oblivion. Again, very surreal. It invites you to make your own weird connections.
Definitely open to interpretation. Then this fleeting image. Fragile grade lady, now tiptoe, now skirts high, sidewise hasty retreat.
Like catching a glimpse of someone just disappearing. A momentary observation, very cinematic.
Exactly. And these soundscapes, chalk, chalk, water tongue, chalk, chalk, sound of foot to stone, this marble island.
You can almost hear it, can't you? The repetition really grounds you in that specific place. Very sensory.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Veil of August heat weaves the artist dragonfly. Banyan trees are flat.
Feeling the heat, seeing the dragonfly as an artist again. But why are the banyan trees flat?
Right. Maybe it's just how they looked in that particular light, or a strange perspective shift. Adds an intriguing little twist.
Keeps you guessing.
We also get these Icarus haikus. First, fall, wax and feathers, flowers of burning petals, rah, Raw
So,
Icarus.
captures the whole drama in just a few words.
Hmm.
The fall, the burning, even a sort of tragic cheer.
And the second, feathered pharmacos. Between surrogate and sun Icarus depends.
Pharmaco's like a scapegoat, and
Mhm.
that dependence on the wings, the sun, highlights the precariousness.
Yeah, it really captures the essence of the myth. And then this direct address. Oh, Sandpiper, why do you dance at ocean's edge? Come, the water's fine.
Like a child talking to the bird, full of wonder, simple curiosity, and invitation.
Just engaging directly with nature. Then some more observations. Summer great black waves one sees so seldom clearly. Oh, men pulling nets.
So, a rare glimpse of the ocean's raw power, and then immediately contrasted with human activity, human effort against it.
A moment of clarity about both nature and human toil. And these quick sketches. Green rocks, blue water, bright-colored Tiberians, Mikado,
He
Capretti.
sounds like Italy, vivid colors, local life. Maybe peccato, capretti means, what a pity, little goats. Snapshot.
Could be. And through purple leaves flash iridescent wings, shadows, hide the sinking shell.
Again, just a fleeting moment captured. Light, color, movement, and something hidden or ending, like little visual poems.
We also get some more personal glimpses. First child, glory be. 7 years deprived, my dear, for economy.
Ah, very personal. The joy of a child, but also the real-world constraints the sacrifices made.
Poignant in this moment of self-reflection. Ah, this strange, mirror-bright face cupped between my hands makes me seem so young.
That feeling of surprise looking in the mirror, catching a glimpse of a younger self, very relatable.
Yeah, that fleeting sense of lost youth. He also touches on darker things. White magic, white lies, thoughts of twisted limbs and mind. The hidden fear scene.
Hmm. Juxtaposing the seemingly innocent with much darker internal anxieties, seeing the fear beneath the surface.
Uneasy. And this one almost sent. This egg in brown leaves has a great secret of mine, that nothing changes.
Finding profound constancy in such a simple natural object, the secret isn't some complex thing, just stability beneath the flux.
Yeah, the cycle of life, maybe.
Yeah.
Then more fantastical images. Ragged wheels of silk, minuscule dragons observed by Buddha spiders.
Okay. Silk wheels, tiny dragons, Buddha spiders, pure imagination blending with nature, like seeing myth in the mundane.
And this dragon never lives on paper or flowers. Well, perhaps next time.
Acknowledging the unreality of the dragon, but keeping the possibility open. Playful creation.
Man, jawless monster, cold marble sundial of the church, do the old men sleep?
Evocative, slightly gothic. The monster, the sundial marking time, questioning mortality again.